It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Christina Davies. She's an internationally recognized leader in the fields of arts and health promotion and serves as a director of the Centre of Arts, Mental Health and Wellbeing at the University of Western Australia. Her multi-award-winning research has set new standards globally, particularly her pioneering work on arts engagement and the arts mental health dose, which is now shaping politics and practices around the world. With an exceptional background that spans public health, psychology, and the arts, Professor Davies is the creative force behind the widely recognized catchphrase, "You don't have to be good at art for the arts to be good for you." This motto has inspired the groundbreaking Good Arts, Good Mental Health campaign, the world's first population-level arts health promotion media campaign. Recent evaluations have shown that the campaign has significantly increased public awareness and inspired more people to engage in the arts for better mental health, highlighting Professor Davies' impactful contribution to community well-being. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Professor Christina Davies and her speech on good arts and good mental health.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here in Finland. Like, how amazing. I'm going to start by acknowledging all of you. The artists, the educators, the health and social care workers, the academics, the researchers, the students that are here today, and also the conference organisers, the platform. Haven't they done an amazing job? So let's, I think, a round of applause. You know, this is such an amazing opportunity to network, but also a really amazing opportunity to learn from each other. So, you know, absolutely, whether you're here for 2 days or 4 days, get to know each other, and yes, the networking is so important. So my name is Christina Davies. I'm Director for the Centre for Arts, Mental Health and Wellbeing at the University of Western Australia, also the lead on Good Arts, Good Mental Health. And so I'm here to talk about Good Arts, Good Mental Health, from idea to arts mental health promotion campaign. How did we do it? And was it a success? So in terms of, I think, you know, the start of all this, it's also important to know my background. So it's important to know that I'm an artist, I'm a painter. I make art, I sell art. But I also have a grad dip master's and a PhD in public health. So I am an epidemiologist. I am a health promoter, and I've also worked in my regional health department as a policy officer and also as a research and evaluation officer. So all of these things are quite important, the policy, the research, and being an artist as well. All of those are really important in terms of being able to create something like this. So the format. So I'm going to talk about arts and health in general. I'm also going to talk about, you know, the idea, the research behind it, how we were able to actually pull this off. Also the method, co-design methods, how we actually delivered it, then the evaluation, and then there'll be time for questions. So I'm going to start with, I'm an epidemiologist, so we like definitions. So first of all, what is arts and health? So arts and health is the direct use of the arts to promote, maintain, and improve health and wellbeing. So this is as simple as listening to your favourite music to improve your mood. But it can also be the introduction of the arts into a setting to enhance, you know, that setting. So enhance the health in that environment. So quite often we'll see this in like doctors' waiting rooms, where they'll actually play music to enhance patient mood. So there's many ways that arts and health can work. And if you are interested in definitions, there is an arts and health glossary. And all through this talk, you'll have the little QR codes there so that you can actually scan it and then go to the paper, which is, you know, open access. I also want to make this point that the idea that arts impacts health is not new. So, you know, dating back to 40,000 BC, we know that the arts were used in ritual and healing. If we go to our early medical history, in Egypt, you have Imhotep. Imhotep is not only a physician, he's a poet. In Greece, you've got Apollo, god of music and healing. They're together. Whether we are talking about traditional Indian, Chinese, pagan or monastic medicine, the arts, music, all important in terms of healing. Now, if we focus just on hospitals, we've been using art since the Middle Ages in terms of visual arts and design, and even Florence Nightingale talked about the importance of beauty and aesthetics in medical practice. And you can see there, it's very grainy. I apologise for that, but that's the Nightingale Ward in 1820. So arts and health, it's always been there. It's just the field that's new, but this concept has always been there. All right, so good arts, good mental health, the idea and the research. So why do this? Well, we're doing this because we have a mental health crisis. It's global, it's national, it's at the local level. We have some solutions. Yes, they're evidence-based, yes, they're lifestyle-related. They mostly focus on physical activity and sport and nutrition, sleep. And these are directed at both the general population and also specific target groups. Now, in Australia, I'm showing this on purpose. So in Australia, we've had sports campaigns for more than 50 years. So that green circle is Life Be In It. 50 years ago that started. That tells you sport is fun and sport is good for your health. So sport is worth making time for. Also, during COVID, we had a campaign called Think Mental Health, where we told people to be positive, be connected, and be active. Yet, what did people do? They did art. Where's the circle? Now, later on, 3 more circles got added, and arts was included in hobbies. But now, this is my artist bias showing. This is why I had to explain I'm also an artist. If there's a circle for sport, there should be a circle for arts. Yeah. So, recapping, we have a global, a national, a local mental health crisis. We have some solutions, and yet the mental health crisis is getting worse. So what does this mean? This means we need new ideas, we need innovation. We have to take into account individual differences, budgets, lifestyles. And totally as an artist, I totally wanted to see if recreational arts could impact community mental well-being, community mental health. But as an epidemiologist, this had to be evidence-based. And I was absolutely interested at whether this could happen at a population level. Now, what I'm about to show you is 25 years worth of research, whether it be research evaluation, a PhD. So you don't have to do 25 years of research, you can just learn from this. But in terms of selling this to health as an idea, there were 4 main things that were really important. 1, we had a definition of arts engagement. 2, we knew what the outcomes were. 3, we conducted a systematic review, not a scoping review. In health, we do systematic reviews. And 4, we knew the arts mental health dose. We calculated it. How much art you need for good mental health. Why do that? Well, in health, we not only tell people about the activity and why it's good for them, we also tell them how much to do. So say in Australia, we talk about 2 fruit, 5 veg, or we talk about 30 minutes of physical activity a day. We wanted to be able to do the same thing when it came to the arts and mental health. So let's go through those 4 things. So 1, we defined recreational arts engagement, and we did this by collaborating with like 200 experts in the field of arts and health. And I want to make the point as well that I'm talking about recreational arts here. I'm not talking about art therapy. So I'm talking about the arts that we do as part of our everyday life for enjoyment, for entertainment, as a hobby. It can be active, so you can make art, or it can be receptive, so you can view, you can attend. And this is within 5 art forms, which are the performing arts, visual arts of design and craft, literature, online, digital and electronic arts, and community and cultural festivals, fairs and events. And this definition was used in the World Health Organization report. And if you're interested, like I said, the QR codes are there as well. Then 2, we actually went and asked people. So this isn't theorising. We actually went and asked people, why do you engage in the arts? What do you tell your friends and family? Why do you do art? Why do you sing? Why do you dance? Why do you go to concerts? And what they told us was, it related to mental health, social health, physical health, economic, art-specific, identity and knowledge outcomes. But really important, so why is it good arts, good mental health? because mental health outcomes were mentioned 7 times more frequently than any other outcome, but also they were mostly saying mental well-being, happiness, joy, enjoyment, relaxation. They were recognising the positive impact it could have. Now, I'm going to quickly jump to what do we mean by mental health. So, in the old days, mental health, you were happy on this side or sad on that side. So it was like a continuum. Or it was mental well-being and mental ill health. Well, we don't talk about mental health like that anymore. We recognise that people, they have their spot and how they feel during the day moves. So I might be a happy person, and then I have to do a test, and my anxiety goes up and my happiness goes down. And then the test finishes, and my anxiety comes down and my happiness goes back up again. Or say I'm an anxious person and my anxiety is high, and then I do something related to the arts and my happiness goes up and my anxiety comes down. So you can see that a person can have their normal starting point, but during the day you can change, hence the dual continuum. So now why is this important then when we're talking about arts? Because it really impacts this well-being side of it. It can also impact the ill health side, but this well-being side. When you ask someone, why do you engage in the arts? Within 3 sentences, I can almost guarantee they will say the word happy or happiness in the sentence. It makes me happy. I feel so happy when happiness, their word. Also, it's about confidence, it's about self-esteem. For some people, it's really energising. For other people, it's about relaxation. It's about joy, it's about enjoyment, it's about the creation of good memories. It's about spending time with other people, and it makes some people more resilient to mental ill health. All of these, you'll notice, very positive. The community talks about arts in a positive way. Then we conducted a systematic review, and we found strong evidence of the arts-mental health relationship. We also found strong evidence of the arts social health relationship and dance and physical activity. But you can see here, so now the community are telling us mental health, mental well-being. The systematic review is also telling us mental well-being. So then we calculated the arts dose, and we found you need 2 hours per week of arts, and that's linked to mental health. And that's after controlling for 11 confounders and effect modifiers, those being sex, age group, location, income, education, marital status, whether or not you have children, general health, sports engagement, religious activities, and holidays. After controlling for all of those things, the arts-mental health relationship stood up, and also you had a threshold at 2 or more hours per week. So what that meant was that people who did 2 or more hours per week had better mental health than those who didn't engage in the arts or those who engaged at lower levels. Now also, why look at this at the population level? So why conduct a community-wide mental wellbeing campaign? The reason is that if you look at the top curve, if you target a certain group, on that blue curve you've got that little section that's red, that's a program, say, for a targeted group. However, when you actually try to affect the whole population, you are actually moving people, so now we're looking at the bottom curve, we're moving people from the blue curve to the red curve. And when we do that, we're actually impacting everyone where those 2 curves cross. So where that green arrow is, so that's thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. All right, so good arts, good mental health. How did we do this? What is the method? Now, I want to make the point that Good Arts, Good Mental Health is actually made up of a media campaign, it's demonstration programs, it's also learning opportunities, but because of time, I'm only talking about the media campaign. But the point I do want to make is that this was mostly funded by our health department. Our health department. Why? Because we explained it in health terms. We were also funded by philanthropy, arts, industry, but mostly by health. So the campaign, so in summary, it ran for 4 weeks, from August to September 2024. It was a statewide campaign, so all of Western Australia, 2.9 million people. Now, that's not a lot of people, but it is a very large space. So it's 2.6 million square kilometres, which is roughly the same size as all of Western Europe, 10 times the size of the UK, 4 times the size of Texas. So we had a very big space to cover. In terms of innovation, it was a world-first trademark, population-level arts mental health campaign. So this is health promotion. It is not an arts participation campaign, it is a health promotion campaign. We targeted adults, 18 to 65 years, and we had a teeny-weeny tiny budget of 200,000 Australian dollars to do it all. That's about 120,000 euros for all of Western Australia, or if you imagine it as, all of Western Europe. We co-designed, though, with the community. So we created the assets and the methods for how we were going to deliver it with the community. So we talked to 3,560 West Australians, whether it be by survey, by focus group, by interviews. Our project partners, we had a team from 7 universities, 31 project partners, so that's arts, health and mental health, a community reference group, and also a government mentor group. So this is health, mental health, and the arts departments, all meeting with us every 3 months. So cross-sector collaboration is absolutely important and possible. They met with us every 3 months and helped us to design this and deliver it. Now, why is co-design important? Quite often, we just do stuff. We might go to a market or whatever, but co-design is really important. I can't stress enough. Go and talk to your target group. Don't assume you know the right answer. So, images, words, and dose. When we showed the general population images, we found that they wanted to see everyday people. They didn't want to see arty people or health people or a focus on children. They also wanted to see a range of arts options because they didn't know what art was. They wanted us to tell them, what art should I be doing? They also, when we told them what art was, this needed to be low cost, no cost, because they didn't have the budget to now go and spend money on this extra activity for their mental health. So if we were going to empower them with a new thing, the arts, make it low cost, no cost. Also, they wanted to do art in everyday environments, so not just in the concert hall. Can I do art at home? Can I do art at work? Can I do art on the way to work? In schools? Can I do art in a park? Absolutely. We just needed to show them how. And then preferred wording. They wanted invitational words, so try. But they didn't want us to tell them what to do. Start. Now this is super funny because when I thought up the message at the start, so I said co-design, don't assume you know what you're talking about. I thought the message was going to be start 20. You'll see why the 20 is also terrible in a second. So that would have been terrible. I was telling them what to do. So, invitational words. Also, encouragement. You don't have to be good at arts for the arts to be good for you. You don't have to be good at sport to do sport. Why do you have to be good at the arts? Who decided that? So let's get rid of that. Also, wording is important. And I should say our wording, our language may be one thing, but if you're talking to the general population, if you're talking to community members, their understanding of the word or how they take the word might be different. So we said, should we say arts or should we say creativity? And they said arts, because to me creativity implies making, and I don't want to make, I just want to attend. So that difference between active and receptive. Some people just want to be receptive. Also, we said, should we say arts or should we say culture? And they said, well, what activity do you want us to do? And I'm like, arts? And they're like, well, say arts. Super important, because culture to them meant sport, arts, language, the shoes they wear, what their hair is doing with their hair. So for them, it was confusing. They were like, tell us the activity. But even more important, it was about doing the arts that made them feel good. So not everyone has to sing. If you like singing, sing. If you like dancing, dance. Do the arts that makes you feel good. And also positive words. mental well-being, good mental health, happiness, joy, relaxation. They absolutely did not want to hear words like depression, anxiety, stress. They didn't want negative words. And the thing is that, you don't have to say less stressed. You can say relaxed. So we don't have to frame this negatively. We can frame it positively. And then, so you'll remember, I thought this was going to be start 20. They want 2 hours per week, not 20 minutes a day. So I thought, as an epidemiologist, 20 minutes a day sounds like nothing, right? Turns out, no, that's totally wrong, because then I would have been making them feel bad every day that they didn't do their 20 minutes of arts. So we can't have that. So 2 hours per week. Why? Because some people want to read 20 minutes before bed every day. Other people want to just once a week go to a concert with friends on a Friday night and get their 2 hours straight up. Someone else might want to do colouring in on a Monday. Then on a Tuesday, they're going to a dancing class. And on Thursday, they're doing pottery. You choose, because it's the arts that makes you feel good. We're not telling you what to do. We're just giving you options, empowering you. Oh, and also really important to mention the dose, to try to achieve the dose, because engagement in the arts is high. Who doesn't listen to music? So engagement is high, but it's at an insufficient level to get your mental health benefit. So what do I mean by that? So what I mean is that, say if you have a headache and you've got medicine for your headache, it might be 2 tablets. If you take 1 tablet, your headache's not going away. So that's the same with arts and mental health. Maybe sometimes when we run programs, we're actually not doing enough art to get that mental health impact. So saying the dose is really important. So now, the campaign. So what was the aim? So we wanted to increase community awareness, comprehension, and agreement with the idea that the arts could impact mental health. So evidence-based. We also wanted to increase intentions to engage in the arts for better mental well-being, and we had to let people know you don't have to be good at arts for the arts to be good for you. They basically said to us, well, if I'm not an expert, can I do art? So we needed to give them almost like permission to do art. We needed to encourage them. So summarising, the tagline, the message was good arts, good mental health. The catch cry was, you don't have to be good at arts for the arts to be good for you. And we rolled this out through radio, Spotify, social media, editorials, free and organic media, campaign website, campaign merchandise, event signage and posters. And these are some of our posts from social media. You'll notice what's missing. TV. We couldn't afford TV. Not on $200,000. But did it matter? We'll see in a second with the evaluation. So the campaign website. Now this is goodartsgoodmentalhealth.com.au, so AU being Australia. Feel free to have a look and feel free to use whatever's on there. No sense in recreating the wheel. Feel free to have people go there. There's a learning section which is completely free, so there's videos, a short course, papers you can download. People, you'll remember, said to us, low cost, no cost. We went with the no cost. So they also said to us, we don't even know where to start. So there's a 5-day challenge in the campaign section. You can download colouring sheets, playlists, origami instructions. There's so much that's on there and it's all free. You don't have to sign up to anything. You just go on there and use the resources. Also, radio and Spotify. So, we had an amazing collaboration with radio. Yes, that is the Australian Prime Minister, taking part in a Nova 937 Good Arts, Good Mental Health Drawing Challenge. Amazing. But I want to read out the ad to you. So the ad that we also had playing was music, reading, painting, dance. Whatever arts makes you feel good. You don't have to be good at arts for the arts to be good for you. Try for 2 hours per week. It could make a difference to your mental health. Good arts, good mental health. It went great. And I'll show you when it comes to radio as well, the extra that we got. So it absolutely resonated. This was co-designed with the community. We used their words. Also, we had merchandise, posters, so event signage, and I've bought some merchandise for you. So down where the posters are, feel free to take, whatever you like. So the eco bags, the posters, the colouring in sheets, so, all there. So please feel free to take something. So like I said, also the posters are down there as well if you would like one. So, and if you do take one and you do put it up, make sure that you email me or something to say, good arts, good mental health, poster up in Belgium. That'd be great. Now also, all right, we have to start thinking outside of the box. When we normally promote arts, we do it at arts venues. Why do we do that? Makes no sense. Really what we should be doing is promoting arts in non-arts venues and promoting it in places where we will get the most general population view. So I mentioned that, for 50 years we've been encouraging people to do sport because sport is fun and sport's good for your health. So what is everyone doing? They're doing sport. Sport is deeply ingrained in the Australian psyche. So we decided we would launch Good Arts, Good Mental Health at the football. Now, with the football, we have a national league. There are two main teams, though, that are West Australians. And when those two teams play in Western Australia, we call that the Western Derby. When the Western Derby plays, everything pretty much shuts down. You're either watching it on television or, you're at the game. And at this game, you had 53,000 people just in the stadium, plus all the people that are watching it through television or online or whatever it is. One of the football teams helped us in terms of launching it. So we had the scoreboard. So the little square, that's the scoreboard saying good arts, good mental health at the football. One every 8 ads, it said good arts, good mental health. And then once per quarter, we lit up the whole stadium like a rainbow and it said good arts, good mental health. Now, what was amazing as well about this was this is how we got our TV coverage. This worked really well. So I will encourage you, don't just stick to art venues, go outside, think outside the box. But and the amount of comments that I got about and pictures that got sent back to me of, I just saw this on the television. Yes, you did. Okay, so that's all great. Did it work? Okay, so we evaluated through a process evaluation. So this is mainly through online analytics. Also, we conducted a short-term outcomes evaluation, so an online survey of the target group, and we had ethics approval to do this. So did it work? Process evaluation. Before the campaign, we had about 7,500 events to the website. 1 month after the campaign, we had 53,810. In terms of cost per reach, it ranged from 0 for the free and organic media to 10 cents for radio. And we had to get a target of less than 20 cents. Also the highest reach, so the best reach. So say if you are thinking about doing something similar and you have an even lower budget than I had, the best reach was actually achieved through Meta. So for $18,000, we managed to get to almost 1 million people. Now, for all the health promoters in the room, amazing results. So even though we had a very small budget, we were able to get to 24% of the population, so 1 in 4. Comprehension was satisfactory at 49%, given that this is the first time the campaign ran and we had no TV advertising. But we had 89% agreement with a health promotion message. That never happens. People agreed that yes, I should do the arts that makes me feel good for my mental health. And then 42% from that agreement, 42% then intended to act on the message. So they intended to do more of the art that makes them feel good for their mental health. Now that is super exciting because 42% intention roughly translates to 10% behavioural action. So imagine if in your hometown 10% of people were doing more art for their mental health. Imagine the impact that has on your community. Also though, imagine the impact that has on your artists and your arts organisations. the economic impact. So amazing, all with the concept of do the arts that makes you feel good for your mental health. Oh, and also a point to note, if we just take this as health promotion, agreement and intention to act, this is double what we normally get for health promotion campaigns. So when we're promoting fruit and vegetables and physical activity and other stuff, this is double the agreement, double the intention to act. So why did this happen? I think this happened because it was based on research, but then we co-designed. So we had a starting point, but then we checked it. We co-designed it with the community. And I think when you co-design with the community, it resonates with the community. Also, we had so much goodwill. So whether it be, our radio partners getting the Prime Minister involved and sports stars and celebrities, the community, they were doing their own posts. They were retweeting and reposting. Our partners were doing the same. But, amazing, radio. We got $90,000 worth of free advertising from radio. Also, though, we were asking people to have fun, do something that they enjoy. This as a sell is extremely powerful. Do the arts that makes you feel good. Also, we absolutely made people see the mental health value of the arts. We can't keep talking about arts for art's sake or just arts participation. Sport doesn't do that. Sport is fun, sport's good for your health. Well, art is fun and art's good for your health. We need to start talking about the value of the arts better and in a positive way. By talking about the mental health value of the arts, it means that people don't feel guilty for engaging. They make time for the arts the same way they make time for sport. We, in terms of marketing, also followed the 4 Ps of marketing. So product, arts for mental health. Price, no cost, low cost. Place, anywhere. Home, concert hall, on your way to work. And it was well promoted. And also, this was a health promotion campaign. So we were emphasising the mental well-being of the arts. This was not just an arts participation campaign. The product benefit was arts for mental health. We were empowering people to do arts for mental health. All right, so in summary, was the Arts Mental Health campaign successful? Yes, it was. Should you try arts mental health approaches? Yes, you should, providing they're evidence-based. So very happy to take questions, and the QR code for the Good Arts Good Mental Health paper is on screen as well, so you can scan that. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for your very inspirational speech and wonderful project this campaign been. So we have now time for some questions, and to keep things smooth, we got these cube microphones somewhere here, and just wait to get the cube and talk into it close and clearly so everyone can hear your question. Over there, up there we have.
Hi, thanks very much for your presentation, very inspiring. For someone who wants to start such a campaign, what would you recommend how to start it?
How do you start it? I guess you need to start by getting your arts, your mental health, and your health people together. You need to have your team to start. I would also have a starting point, and you can use your starting point of Good Arts, Good Mental Health, and I would look at your target group. Do they like that? When I presented this in Austria in April, I was, a fabulous person said to me, why good arts, good mental health? Why not great arts, great mental health? And I'm like, in Austria, you could probably sell that. Whereas in Australia, no way. If I had said great arts, great mental health, they would have said no and ignored me. Whereas good works for Australia, but, the co-design is very important. So they're the starting points. But, you already have the definition, you've already got the outcome, you've already got the dose, you've already got the systematic review. So you're already starting ahead of the game. But make sure that your tagline, your catch cry, matches what your target group wants to hear.
I think I had the question as well. Thank you, Christina, once again for your, I'm here.
I haven't got my glasses on, I can't.
Presentation. I'm Dace from Northern Dimension Partnership on Culture. My question here was like, do you have any observations or any feedback how your campaign impacted arts sector? Is there a higher demand for the music or cultural events or whatsoever? Thank you.
We haven't done that in terms of an evaluation, but absolutely that totally needs to be done. We also, because this was the first time that the campaign ran, we also didn't do the behavioural action because it was too soon to know, so we can only extrapolate in terms of those sorts of outcomes. But you know, if 10%, if we go from the 42% to intention to 10% action, you know, you have to be doing something in terms of the arts. So, you know, I can only imagine that that has had an impact on arts. But no, that's the next step. So if, you know, if the next wave runs, then now we can actually start talking about, and what did you do? So not only do you intend to do more arts, yes, what did you do?
Yeah, I have this mic, so maybe. Yeah, hi, my name is Pilvi Kuitu and I'm from Finland. You probably answered a bit already to my question, but I was wondering if you have any follow-ups. What kind of effects or impacts
So sorry, what was that? Do I have any follow-ups to?
About how this affects on population level?
Yeah, look, the next step would definitely be the behavioural action. But like I said, because it was the first time that the campaign ran, intention was the stopping point, and next it would be going to behavioural action. Yeah, and also, you know, the impact that it has on the arts, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Melis and I'm representing Mental Health Finland. I'm also adding a follow-up question. How was it received in the eastern side of Australia? Because it was a very social media-based campaign. I'm sure it also spread there, one way or the other. Have they been in touch with you? Is it going to be implemented there? Why not whole Australia?
Sure. So no, it was just Western Australia. It was more than the social media though. I would say we actually spent more money on, say, the radio, Spotify, and all of those aspects. So the social media was actually the smaller component, but actually had the bigger reach. But you know, for something like this, where you've got this arts mental health campaign, if it hasn't been done before, you kind of don't have those, I guess, those signposts on what to expect, and you know, so it was more than the social media. In terms of over East, we did have collaborators from over East. They were part of the team. But I guess that's next, isn't it? So yes, what happens next in terms of the campaign and the message? Does it go over East? Does it go to, you know, all of Australia? Who knows? Does it go to all of Europe? Who knows?
Hi.
Hello.
So in terms of the data that you got, the outcomes, was it broken down into different demographics? I mean, did you find specific higher engagement with different demographics?
We didn't on purpose look at the different demographics. So we had, I think it was 600 and whatever it is, people. We only needed 385 to be representative of the population. But, you know, in terms of then reducing it, we could, but we didn't on purpose. So I would probably do cross-tabulations if the sample size was bigger, but no, we didn't analyse it in terms of, you know, different age groups or locations and so forth. Yeah.
200 grand, I mean.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Thanks. I really appreciate that you call the project Good Arts, Good Mental Health. And I understand why. I also appreciate that you don't tell anybody what good arts is. Everybody understands what good mental health is, probably. On the other hand, how did you communicate to the population what arts actually is? Because as an artist, I can see some critical thought about this. You mentioned pottery, you mentioned singing, you mentioned coloring, etc. Then as an artist, as I say, the artist trying hard to sell art that is not easily accessible. And I wonder if there's any thought behind that, or is it basically a very, very low-level approach? You say, I call this art, and let's see what the population understands, and that's it for now.
The way that because, say for a radio ad, you've got 15 seconds. And so what we did was we actually looked at the art that most community members do. So when we said music, reading, painting, dance, that was based on what can we actually say that when we're running this ad, a person should have at least one thing that they do. We thought we covered it off with music, but apparently not everyone listens to music or does music, so we needed the other things as well. So that was how we actually picked. But what we wanted to get people to do was to realise, oh, the arts is something I do. Oh, who knew? Oh, and it can help my mental health. Oh, so I could be doing more of the music I love. Just like, I do the sport that I love, I could be doing that for my mental health. Like at the moment, in terms of people's, psyche, they're not thinking arts, mental health. They're thinking sports, mental health, but of course they are because, they've been told that for the last 50 years. And so by starting at that approach of what are you already doing, how can we actually show you that actually you're already doing art, and maybe if you did more of that art, so try for 2 hours per week, because it could affect your mental health. So we're opening the door, we're already showing them this is something that they already do. And maybe from there, oh, well, I like music. Oh, well, what else makes me feel good? Oh, I like concerts. Or, I used to play the piano when I was 10. Maybe I'll go back to that. Or there's an arts, whatever on. Why don't an exhibition, why don't I go? Why don't I, with a friend, go to a new concert? Or so it's opening the door. It's the invitation back to the arts.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have to now cut off and continue with our program. Thank you very much for your speech, Christina. It was really inspiring. For more questions, I'm sure Christina will be